for hosting us today in Madrid. And by the way, I would like to know what's your secret to get 30 degrees in October. Please share the secret with us, because I came coming from Paris and it wasn't exactly the same. So thank you very much for being here. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the Teads strategy, which is the clean advertising strategy. The clean advertising strategy is very important for us and very important for the market also. So I'm going to take you through a few things. I'm going to take you through the challenges that the market is facing, that most of you already know. And then I'm going to give you the different pillars of the clean advertising strategy we put in place and explain you what, from our point of view, the market should be doing. And of course, as a company at Teads, I mean, we have been reinventing, as we say, video advertising, and now we are reinventing all advertising on our way, so we have been innovating a lot. And when you innovate a lot, of course, you make also a lot of mistakes. So we also made some mistakes, and we learned a lot from those mistakes, and we came now with this clean advertising strategies. So first, I think that most of you know this person. So this person is the chief brand officer of the biggest advertisers in the world, which is Procter & Gamble, called Mark Pritchard. So Mark Pritchard recently, in the IAB leadership meeting in the US, said that we need to clean up the media space. Because recently, I mean, in the last 6 months, we have been facing a lot of issues that you all know. I can give you a few examples of those issues. So we have seen, for example, some errors coming from Facebook on counting views or counting clicks and things like that. We've seen also some challenges on the brand safety side in the UK with YouTube. I mean, we have seen a lot of different things happening. The Russian hackers that have been doing more than 300 million views recently. So, I mean, the market is facing a lot of challenges on this side, and this hurts a lot the trust that advertisers can have within the digital area. So having said that, I have here again another question. Does anyone in the audience knows what these numbers are? Quite difficult. No, okay. So recently, the ANA, which is the advertiser, the Association of National Advertisers in the US, did a study with White Ops, and they came with this number saying that 22% of the video impressions in the US have been fraudulent. 22%. 22%, just to give you an idea, is roughly $6.5 billion lost in revenue. Of course, this is becoming an issue. So of course the market needs to look at it and find a solution. So we've seen that we have some trouble by measuring videos, for example. We've seen that there is some fraud, and of course there's another issue. Who can ever think that Cristiano Ronaldo will be playing for Barcelona? Of course, this is a fake news. We have all been facing recently a lot of discussions around fake news. Brands, of course, do not want to have their ads associated to fake news. So here's pretty much a resume of the different issues that the market is facing. So here, what we want to do, and the question we need to ask ourselves, is how do we rebuild the trust in the digital advertising? So rebuilding the trust is making sure users, as number one, because they are the most important, advertisers or brands, media, of course, agencies, I mean every single partner, find the right solution to get the trust from the brands and to work correctly within the media advertising. So specifically that, you all know that we are today in a market that is becoming more and more problematic, so we need to have more and more transparency here. Look at those numbers. So those numbers represent, I'm taking the example of the US because it's the biggest market, but I lost my micro, no, it's coming back. If you look at this curve, so here it says that back in 2014, only 12% of the digital videos ad spend was programmatic. Next year, it's going to be 74%. So you can here have a look at the growth, and you can also imagine that by 2020, it's going to be roughly 90%. It means that the whole market is going programmatic, and brands need here even more transparency on what's happening. So our advice, and not only our advice, but the biggest advertisers across the globe says the same, we need, and the market need absolutely to go clean. I mean, what the brands are expecting is quite simple. They are expecting to have their ads viewable, visible, their ads with no fraud, so humans having a look at their ads and not robots, and displayed on a brand-safe environment. That's what brands are asking for. So here we come with the Teads clean advertising strategy. So here are the different pillars of our clean advertising strategy that we are putting in place. So I'm going to go through different pillars and trying to explain you what the market is proposing today and what we have achieved at Teads. So the first one is, of course, user experience, no fraud, brand safety, viewability, no reselling ads, and quality at scale. That should be the right contract to have when working on the digital space. So the first one is the user experience. So the definition of user experience is quite simple. I mean, you all use a mobile phone. You are all facing a lot of ads coming when you use your mobile. So user experience, what we mean here is just having a strategy of not forcing the users to watch an ad, but propose the user to watch an ad. Having a sound which is off by default and not having a sound on by default, etc. So these are the kind of things that can define the user experience. And here is a format that you already know, which is the in-read format, where, so here's the music, but as you can imagine, the sound is not on by default. If the ad is not visible at 50%, it will stop. So this is a way to guarantee the viewability for the brands. And again, everything here is user-initiated. This is really important. And not only Teads is doing efforts here, but we have also big companies like Google. So for example, and to show you that Google also is working on making the user experience better, Google, for example, since the beginning of this year, is punishing publishers that are using interstitials. And then we still see a lot of brands investing a lot of money in interstitial and mobiles, where, I mean, this is the worst experience we can ever face. So Google is also working on cleaning here in advertising space. They also announced at YouTube that they are going to phase out all the non-skippable ads more than 30 seconds. So what you can see here is that the market is also working on making the user experience much better than what it is today. And not only there are actions, but there are results here. So this is a study that we have been conducting with Millward Brown 2 years ago. So the pitch, I mean, the question was quite simple. We wanted to compare opt-in formats where the user is free versus formats where he is forced to watch the ad. So Pro, for example, here. And what you can see here is that the effect on the awareness is, of course, much better when the users are opting, when they are not forced to watch an ad. Of course, they are in a better situation, and then the brand awareness is, of course, much better. So this was the first pillar. The second pillar, which, I mean, we can take it on different ways. It can be, we can be joking, for example, but I mean, it's quite obvious. We don't want robots to watch our ads, and we don't want to pay for that. So that's what the market should bring. Be careful, this is not really easy to put that in place. I mean, you need a lot of tech here to make sure that your traffic is not fraudulent. So a lot of companies in the market are making sure that, I mean, we have the right tech to have no fraud in our distribution, but this is an important point. So recently, Teads has been doing, I mean, we have been thinking of how we could, of course, avoid having fraud. So there is different things. One of the first things we've done is that we have partnered with DoubleVerify, so Google. So basically, Google is sending us every day a very large list of fraudulent IPs. So we automatically blacklist those IPs, so you have no fraud. There is other solutions that the market is proposing, and that I mean, everyone should be pushing for that. You have companies like Comscore, companies like Integral Ad Science, or even Moat, that have technologies that can be able to measure exactly what's happening, so you can see the results. So we have been, of course, measuring the results. When you look here, integrated ad science, for example, the average fraud rate on programmatic video is around 9.3, where at Teads we are below 1%, and the reason is because we have been acting here, trying to make sure that we have no fraudulent traffic. Another reason why the traffic also could be good is the quality of the publishers you are working with. If we take, for example, Procter & Gamble, 1 year ago they were working with more than 2,000 publishers per month. Now they have reduced the list of publishers they are working with to make sure they work only with qualitative publishers, and that, of course, is helping a lot to make sure you have less fraud. The third pillar is the brand safety. So brand safety, basically what we mean by brand safety is just to make sure that our ads are distributed on, a normal environment with no adult content or no gaming content or no racism or no terrorism and things like that. So brands want their ads to be displayed on brand safe environment, and there is a lot of things here the market can do to make sure the environment is brand safe. So one of the first things, of course, the market can push is to make sure that we are working with all the third parties that are verifying the brand safety of the publishers you are working with. Of course, the quality of publishers, as I said a few minutes ago. The custom negative keyword targeting, so I'm going to take you through into 1 second into this technology built by a company called Grapeshot. I'm going to explain a bit more. And then proprietary third parties with invalid traffic blocking solutions as DoubleVerify from Google does. So here's, for example, what this company called Grapeshot is doing. So basically, we are working with them based on different keywords and different segments of keywords. So for example, if you take crime, so there is a lot of keywords associated to crime, and this technology allows you to make sure that your ad is not distributed within an article having one of those keywords. And this is something, again, really important to help brands not having their ads distributed among those categories. And then, of course, everything can be measured. So here we are seeing what the challenge is. We are seeing what are the different solutions that the market is offering, and then I show you the kind of results we can have. So here's, for example, the quality score that Integrated Ad Science is making. So they call it the track score. So the track score is a score that includes a lot of different things, like brand safety, like ad clutter, etc. And then they give a score to the different partners, and here you have an idea of the kind of scores we can have. Fourth pillar is the viewability. So we have been talking about viewability since this morning. We've seen that, of course, it's not easy to have standards. We've seen in the previous roundtable that some agencies have their own standards, some advertisers have their own standards, IIB is coming with standards, so it's not really easy. But it's quite basic that everyone on the market wants to have their ads visible. Otherwise, that doesn't make any sense. So I was telling you before that we have been working on reinventing advertising and building different formats and units that will respect the different pillars that I explained. So here I have the pleasure to show you our last in-read display, so viewable display suite that is respecting what I'm saying now. So here's one of the formats that we have been releasing recently, which is called the in-read score. So as you can see, first thing we can see is the user experience. We never want to oblige the user to watch the ad. We are looking more for engagement. We are proposing an ad, and we are making sure that we have, for example, different call to action that will help the user engage with the ad. Here's a third example, which is called in-read swing, one of my favorites, where the user is playing with the ad, he's playing with the phone, so the engagement is very high. And again here, the ad plays only if it's in view. If it's not in view, as an advertiser, you don't pay for that. It's distributed within the best publishers, and the user is not forced to watch the ad. So of course, when we talk about viewability, so there is two things, I mean, we can do to ensure that we have a great viewability. So we can first, of course, build viewable ads by design, like we just have seen. But we can also work on a pricing model which guarantees to the agencies and the brands that they will pay only for the ads that are in view. And this model is called the VCPM. So today the market is offering the VCPM. We are offering the VCPM that can guarantee for you to pay only for ads that are in view. Fifth pillar is the no resetting. So what do I mean by here? So I think that you've all seen a lot of graphs like this one, especially now that we are talking a lot about programmatic. You have the demand side, you have the supply side, you have the pubs, agencies, trading desks, etc., etc. What we want to explain here is that having a direct connection with publishers, and that's what Teads is doing, for example, I mean, is much better to avoid having, I mean, more discrepancies. So there is no reselling, there is no buying in exchanges to resell here, etc. There is a direct connection. So this is really important. And this is something I wanted to share with you. So recently the IAB Tech Lab has been releasing this project which is called ads.text. So ads.text is basically a place where all the publishers can declare who are the partners they have and the partners that are allowed to sell their inventory. So for example, as an agency or as a brand, you can go here, have a look at it, and then, I mean, it's a gauge of quality and trust. So there's, again, more trust here. And then the last point is the quality at scale. And this is a very important point, and I wanted to end my presentation by that, because when you look at what I have presenting now, so you see that the market needs to ask more viewability, we need to ask for more brand safety, we need to ask for more fraud, so for no fraud, and so on. So at the end, you could think that by adding all those layers, at the end, we won't have a lot of inventory to propose to our clients. The answer is no. There is still a lot of inventory. Here is a snapshot of our network, and here we have access to more than 1.2 billion users across the globe. That says that, I mean, by working with a lot of different publishers and qualitative publishers, of course, you can have access to quality at scale, because often we think that if we want quality, there is no scale. That's not true. There is scale with quality. And again, if you look at, I mean, the way the users are browsing the web, users in average spends more than 5 hours browsing the web. Digital video platforms, we have just a little bit more than 1 hour. So the users, you, me, spend much more time, of course, browsing the web than going on digital video platforms. And then it has, of course, a very big impact on the trust the users have in advertising. The users trust much more in advertising that they can see in big editorial content like El País or El Mundo than what you can see on social media, for example. And the results of that is that when you measure, and this is a campaign we have been running recently with Chivas, panorámica, when you look at the impact you have on the brand image, on the intent to consume, you can see here the results. The results are very, very high. So of course everything needs to be measured to make sure that we have the result that we are expecting. And the end of the presentation is here. I mean, clean advertising with the different pillars I've been presenting leads automatically to better results. Thank you.